I'm going on. Hello, everyone.
There is no high priestess in here. There's a priestess.
I'm live. Priestess cards and High Priestess cards are the same cards. Sorry, guys, we're just looking for the Priestess cards. I ran late, so I'm still trying to find them for today's session. Hi, Crystal. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And I can't find the High Priestess in the Light Seers deck. Oh my gosh. How are you today, Crystal? I just finished up dinner and was trying to pull cards and ran late. I got caught up in Home Depot looking at pots for my plants and so distracted. Okay. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes to see if we have a couple of people on, to see if anybody else moseys on in before I start. Does anybody have any questions about the Fool or the introduction to tarot that we did last week before I get started on this week? Okay. All right, it's about 5 after 7, so I think I'm going to get started on the Magician, which is card number 2 in the Major Arcana, or card number 1. The Fool is 0. The Magician is number 1. The Magician has a lot of symbolism attached to him. He's known as the Great Manifestor card. If you look at the table, you see the pentacle, the chalice or the cup, the sword, and you also see the wand. So those all represent not only the suits in the tarot, the minor cards, but they represent the elements. The pentacle or coin being earth, or sometimes worldly wealth. Sorry. This sword known as air, because you can cut through the air. So the sword is the air element, and that's associated with human intellect. The cup has to do with water, obviously. That's emotions. And the wand is fire. It's made out of wood, so it's fire. And it has to do with human interactions and action. So we have all of our elements there. We also have, if we look at him, we see the infinity sign above his head, which is a great symbol. The infinity sign is universal forces, right? It's the ultimate universal sign. His right hand is pointing to heaven. Oops, it's kind of reversed on mine. His right hand is pointing to heaven. His left hand is pointing to the earth. So he draws down the energy from above to below. As we say all the time, as above, so below. No worries, Crystal. So this card has significant symbolism in it. Just on those points, if we continue to look at it, we look and we see there is white in his robe and there is red in his robe. Sorry, I'm moving the card. The white in his robe and also the white lilies down below in the garden signify purity. And the red signifies blood and earthly matters, while the white signifies purity and spiritual. And you can see that the flowers are intertwined, and that represents the intermingling of both spiritual and earthly matters that happen in life. So he is a great manifestor, as I said in the beginning, and he also represents action. So the magician's main message to us is that we need to take responsibility in our life and focus on what we want and take action to manifest that which we desire. When we get to the magician, this is where we see the Fool begin to take responsibility for his actions in life. Remember, when we pull the Fool is simply starting his journey. He's a novice. He's excited about life. He is just eager to begin a new journey. Now we see the magician. We see the Fool is beginning to take responsibility for his life, right? Remember, the tarot, the major arcana, is all about the Fool's journey and story. So, the magician is a master of all the elements. He connects the physical to the spiritual world, and he is ready to manifest his desires. I know that was a lot to get in there. So if you have any questions, please type them in the comments below. If you're not here now, I will come back and check the comments. Hello, Thomas. Good to see you. But that is the pretty much the symbolism with this card. Also, if you look at the flowers on top, you see that the magician is standing beneath a garden of flowers. Again, those roses. The roses represent earthly matters. I'm sorry, Thomas, I'm not doing readings tonight. We're doing a tarot study where we're studying the cards. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m., I will be doing readings. So the manifestor is standing beneath this vine of roses, which represents earthly matters. So it's suggesting that we need to put aside our earthly or human instincts if we want to become truly connected to the spiritual. So there's a lot going on in this card. If anybody has any questions and would like to type them about the card, please do so now. And like I said, I'll come back and check comments periodically on all of these videos. And you can always come into the Facebook group, which I will have linked below, to ask questions. Okay, I'm going to move on now to the High Priestess card, which is card number 2 for tonight. And we are going to, she has a lot of duality about her. She is number 2 of the major arcana. 2 speaks of duality in itself, the number 2. Okay. This card is associated with water and emotions. Immediately when we see water, we see emotions. There's a lot of blue in this card. So the High Priestess is intuition, her subconscious, divine femininity, psychic ability. When we look at the duality in this card, we see the 2 pillars. The 2 pillars, there's right and left. We have the B and the J. The right stands for consciousness, the left, subconsciousness. We have the black and the white. The black stands for the yin and the white stands for the yang. So similar to the yin yang symbol. We have, and black and white, we have the positive and negatives, right? If you look at her robe, she has both white and blue in her robe. The white is a sign, just like the lilies and flowers in the Magician card. The white is purity again. Excuse me. And the blue is truth. So let's look at some other symbols. Let me just grab a drink before we do that. I apologize. Okay. These two cards have so many symbols in them. If we look at some of the other symbols, let's take a look at her headdress. The headdress the High Priestess wears is similar to the goddess Hathor. Hathor is an Egyptian goddess associated with love, the sky, and women in general. And the High Priestess is associated with divine femininity. Both the goddess Hathor and the High Priestess have the ability to cross the veil and cross between boundaries of the earthly plane and the spirit plane. So it's not a coincidence that she's wearing the same head dressing as Hathor is. Her veil is very thin. If you look at her veil, I'm sorry, I hope I'm not making you dizzy. By the way, I'm holding the cards. If you look at her veil, it's very thin. Again, a thin veil, which we usually talk about a thin veil at Samhain, when it's very easy for spirits to come through to our world and go back and forth. The thin veil symbolizing the ease at which she can come back and forth or communicate between worlds. If we look at this card, we see three. Oh my gosh, I apologize. We see pomegranates, and the pomegranates represent fertility. Again, that femininity. Now we see the crescent moon, which represents subconscious, intuition, and femininity. It's funny, the crescent moon there, there's another lady that has that crescent moon at her feet that I grew up with. And I don't know, some of you I'm sure grew up with the statue of the Blessed Mary. Always has the crescent moon at her feet, or a moon at her feet with the stars. I find it interesting that the crescent moon is at the High Priestess' feet and that she's in the white and the blue, similar to a lot of statues and paintings of Mary. The High Priestess is a great spiritual teacher. She has a cross on her chest. She has three different symbols of religions on her, being here or by her. She has the cross on her chest, which is symbolic of Christianity, or she is holding the Torah in her hand. And if you look at the Torah, all of the letters are visible except the H, which is interesting because it's almost like she's hiding a little something. And then she has the crescent moon at her feet. The crescent moon is a symbol in Islam. So there's three different religions, and she's got them, three different symbols, from three different religions she's holding, suggesting that she is a woman of spiritualism as opposed to one religion. Her main message to us is to go within ourselves. Hello, Brian. Hello, Johnny. Her main message is to go within yourself and listen to what your subconscious has to tell you. Listen to your inner voice. Trust your inner wisdom. Keep the secrets. Sometimes those, what you're working on, you don't need to share with the world. Sometimes we're learning a new metaphysical skill or psychic skill or taking a new course, and we want to run out and tell everybody. Sometimes maybe it's not best to tell everybody. Maybe we just need to be working on it and keeping it to ourselves for a little bit. Her other message is to get in touch with the feminine side. This doesn't matter if you're male or female. Get in touch with your feminine side. Look inside yourself. Trust your intuition. And go with the flow. Know that you have the answers within you. And just trust that. So that is the main message for the High Priestess. If anyone has any comments about the High Priestess card, please put them in the chat now. If you're listening to the playback and you have a comment, please add it to the chat. I will be checking back periodically, and I will definitely respond to the comments. Oh my goodness, I apologize. I don't know what got in my throat. So if you have any comments, questions about the High Priestess, the Magician, or even the Fool that we did last week, please let me know. You can comment on this video, the video from last week, or find me in the Facebook group, which is linked below. I will be back tomorrow night to do the Tuesday night tarot readings. So I look forward to seeing some of you then. And otherwise, I'll be back next week to follow up with the... No, wait a minute. I did not pull the cards. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm choking and I forgot to pull the cards. I'm going to show you the cards from the other decks. I have all of the decks listed in the comments. So I'm going to show you some High Priestess and Magician cards from some of my other decks. So I'm going to start with the Game of Thrones deck. This is the Magician card from the Game of Thrones deck, which is kind of cool. If you know the Game of Thrones, this character fits the Magician. And the High Priestess is the perfect character for the Priestess card, right? They call it the Priestess in this deck, not the High Priestess. I think that's perfect for the Game of Thrones card deck. This deck is the A.E Waite Tarot. It's the holographic one. It's the same cards as the normal RSW deck. It's just a little holographic. High Priestess. And the Magician. You see all the same symbols. Light Seers, to be honest, I cannot find my Priestess card. So I'm going to show you the Magician. And I'll look for the High Priestess for next week. This is the Magician card. Absolutely stunning Magician card. You can see he is manifesting what he wants. He has complete control of his physical world and is now connecting his physical to his spiritual world. That is just a stunning card. The links to where you can get all these decks, or rather the links to a list of all these decks is below. This is the Modern Witch deck, tarot deck. I just did a walkthrough of this if you're interested. So this is the Magician card. similar to the traditional magician with the infinity sign and all the elements and the flowers. She has the red robe, red and white robe on. The difference is she's female. Typically, the magician is male in most decks. So that's a little different. And then for the High Priestess, this is definitely a different, we see the white and black pillars, which is the same. We see the crescent moon. The headdress is the same. All right, guys, this is going to be the last one I do. But the difference is there's no cross. I think I said the headdress is the same. She has on modern clothing, her modern boots. There's no cross. She's not holding the Torah. In fact, she's got her laptop. So she's still the female that's got it all together, that has the all-knowing power. But it's almost like her all-knowing power is behind that laptop. So this is definitely a modern take on the priestess. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this priestess card? All right, I'm going to try really, if I keep choking, I'm not going to finish the rest of them, but I'm going to try and finish the rest of them. I only have two more. The Magician on the cat deck. This is the cat tarot. I love this deck. The Magician. He's got all his elements, so to speak. And he's pulling down from the sky and bringing it down to the earth, right? One paw up, one paw down, and he's got the infinity sign. And we see the red and the white flowers. So the artist tried to stay a little bit in tune with the traditional magician card, which I appreciate. I think this is a cute play on the magician. And then we have the High Priestess for the cat tarot. So we see the crescent moon in this card. And that's about all we see. That we would also see in the traditional High Priestess tarot card. It's an adorable card, though. It's a little cat. She's very self-confident, just like the modern Witch Tarot High Priestess and the Rider-Waite High Priestess. Very self-assured, confident. She has that inner serenity about her. So I think she fits right in there with them. And then we have two more. The last deck is the Tarot of Sexual Magic. And the Magician in this deck is an interesting card. He's got all of his elements on the table or about him. There is no infinity sign. But you can see he is connecting to his spiritual side. You can see the fog above him. So you can tell he's connecting to both his physical and spiritual sides, and that he's mastering it. You can kind of grasp that. I think there's a little more physical in this card than spiritual. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this Magician's card. Hold it there another second. Okay, and the last one is the High Priestess for this deck. And she is beautiful. She is wrapped in a thin gauze robe. Thin gauze, again, like the veil, symbolizing the veil between the spirit and earthly world. So we see that symbolism. She's got the crescent moon. She's got her familiar. And actually, it's not a crescent moon. I thought it was a crescent moon, but it's the cat's tail. That's interesting. So we don't see any of those symbolisms that we see in the traditional card either. Other than the veil. I am so sorry with this choking. And we do see the roses and the pomegranates. So the fertility is there and the purity is there. So let me know what you think about this card too. Do you see the similarities between it, or do you like this artist's rendering of the High Priestess? Do you get what they were trying to say? Do you think it takes away from the meaning of the High Priestess card? How do you feel about this one? This was a deck I bought, or I wanted to get on a whim. And I was actually gifted this deck. I have not done readings with this deck yet. I'm going to do a walkthrough of it, and I'm going to start using it a little bit. But it's kind of interesting going through the cards with you guys as I'm starting to go through them myself. So let me know what you think about them. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I'm sorry about all the choking. I will be back, like I was saying earlier, I will be back next week for the third part. And tomorrow night for readings. So next week will be the Empress. Oh my gosh. Getting them in number order. Hold on. Next week will be, let me get this straight. Next week will be, we did the Fool. Next week will be the Empress, yes, and the Emperor. So we'll be back for that. Anybody have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll come back and check it out. If you like the video, hit the like button for me. Thank you so much. And I will see you all real soon. Have a wonderful night. Be well, stay positive.